Oh my gosh. Hi, this is Patrina Dixon, the It's My Money lady. I'm so excited that you're back here with me. I have Ashley Hill today. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Patrina. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, so Ashley is going to give us the deeds on scholarships. Before we jump in with our conversation with her, I want to make sure that if you want my course, I now have it as a self-paced course. So make sure you go to my website, itsmymoneyjournal.info, to check that out. And if you're not ready for that investment, it's okay. I put a lot of it in a workbook, so you can also grab that. Again, itsmymoneyjournal.info. I'll also put that information in the show notes. So Ashley, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
So I am well. So my listeners are waiting for this episode. People want to know, how do they get money to pay for college? Those that are heading off and those that are already in there. So let's just start with the people that are in high school right now, preparing, trying to figure out where they find the money because they didn't start it. They didn't start saving early for kids to go to college. How do they prepare now for their kids to be funded to go to school?
Great question. It's actually one of my favorite questions. The biggest thing is really understanding what are scholarship judges looking for, right? Because they're the ones that are awarding the money. So it's important that we know that the applicant knows, okay, what do I need to include? And so the biggest thing and the best place to start is with creating a strong personal brand.
Mm.
And I can tell you, and I can tell you from personal experience of winning scholarships, coaching students, and then being on the other side of judging as well, is that scholarship judges love to award funding or money to students that are able to really demonstrate that strong personal brand and show them that, look, I can, with your support, financial support, I can take this to the next level and of course further support and serve my community, after college. And so we have to kind of reverse engineer and kind of work backwards. Well, what is a strong personal brand? And so I want you guys to think about Apple, Starbucks, Nike, those really successful brands. And there's a reason why millions of people support them. It's because they know the brand, they like the products, they like what the brand stands for, and they develop trust with them over time. And so, as for the students that are listening or parents that are watching or listening, is that you want the same experience. You want the scholarship judges to experience your students in that same way, that they
Yeah.
begin to know, like, and trust your students. And that's really how you get started with being scholarship ready.
Yeah. So personal brand, I love that, and experiencing the personal brand. So how does one, and I think about introverts when I think about this question, how do you develop a personal brand if you're the kind that the person that goes to school, do your thing and leave out? So how personal brand, what's that? How do I be a viable candidate when I don't have a personal brand and I really haven't worked towards creating that? How, talk to them about what you mean by personal brand.
Great question. A lot of people probably don't believe me, but I'm actually an introvert at heart. So this was me. So what I did, at that point, I knew that I liked to write. I knew that I was kind of in the arts. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do when I was going through this process for my undergraduate degree, but I got started a free blog and I began to write my thoughts about going to college, what I was experiencing, what my thoughts were. And so if your students are introverts, they don't force them to go out and try to be an extrovert, but support them in that. So if they like to write, if they like to draw, but encourage them to create a portfolio, because I'm telling you, when it comes time to apply for these scholarships, that portfolio comes in handy because it speaks to your child's brand.
Mm. And so what are so you mentioned writing. So is that writing a blog? Is that what you're suggesting? Okay. Any other ways that folks that don't have a brand today and listen to this, they can begin doing after hearing us today?
Absolutely. And a great way to start this, and actually, in all the books I've written, I mentioned this, is this a great family activity, is to just make a list. I call it a scholarship search resume, but
Mm.
make a list of any talents, hobbies, achievements. If they have a certain passion, maybe they want to, when they grow up and, get their degree, maybe they want to help to cure childhood cancer. Children have to deal with different types of cancers and diseases. So whatever those interests are, especially if they're introvert, find ways where they can create that, where they can produce that body of work. That could be sharing their opinion.
Mm.
They could start a podcast like we're on, and it's just
Yes,
them.
you can. It's very easy, and I love doing it.
Yes, I love it too. So, it's just finding a way that's comfortable for your child, but still giving them a chance to really shine in the areas that they shine in.
Okay, great. So now that is preparing them, and you mentioned judges. So is that like a body of people? Is it? I know you're a judge as well. So is that the process that goes through? Like when you see applications and it gets to your desk for judge as a part of, I'm assuming part of a group. What are you looking for? There's both have the same grades, went to the same school. What's that extra? What's that it factor that you look for?
I love that question because what you just said, for those that were watching, if those that are listening and watching, that's literally how it is most times. As you know, we'll do 1 to 2 to 3 rounds, of course. And so I'm looking for who followed directions because that's an easy way to disqualify them or eliminate them from the running because we use, most organizations get so many scholarships. So we need ways to cut those numbers down. But when it's coming to that it factor, and if I'm looking at 2 students and they're virtually similar, I'm looking for who has shared their personal brand, but it also tells me how they align with what our organization is all about. So I
Mm.
give you an example. Let me use one. Let me see. Okay, let me do psychology, right? So let's say that I'm a nonprofit and I'm promoting more psychologists going into the field, right? So I'm supporting colleges that are training psychology students and graduate schools and so forth and so on. So if you're right, if I ask you, the applicant, to share why are you going into this field, if you kind of give me a surface like, well, I watched this TV show and I thought it was pretty cool. I'm like, that wasn't really strong for me. You just kind of gave me some surface stuff. But if
Yeah.
the other applicant says, well, I had this experience, or I've been sharing my perspective on this for a couple of years in this blog that I have, and this one instance right here, and they go on and share with me whatever the instance was, the example. I'm going to lean towards that student because they really took the time to dig deep and kind of show me, how do they align with the mission of what we're trying to do and giving out those scholarship dollars.
That's awesome. I love that. So she's dropping the gym. So if y'all want to know how to get that money to go to scholarship funds for school, So now they know they have to have grades, and I think so 3.0 at a bare minimum they have to
Bare
have,
minimum.
right? At a bare minimum. And so they know they need activities to know, like, and trust, have a brand. Now they're in school, right? They got scholarship, they're in school. How do they sustain that?
Right. So it's a couple of things to keep in mind. One is check all of your current scholarships and focus on the ones that are renewable. Renewable means that you'll get them the next year and the next year and the next year till you graduate. But also you want to pay attention to those that are not renewable, right? Because those that are not renewable, you need to have a plan for how to cover those gaps in
Mm.
the following year. But the thing is with your scholarships, whether they're renewable or not, is pay attention to what are the requirements because that is what you must maintain. And if you don't maintain that, whether that's GPA, whether that's volunteer hours, I know for some scholarships you have to attend so many meetings and
Mm.
things like that. So if you're failing to abide by that, then you will probably receive a warning letter saying, hey, you are at risk of losing this scholarship. And I'm telling you, no parent or student wants to receive that, but yet it happens. So,
Yes.
Patrina, that might be, you may have to, maybe you can't go out partying with the friends this weekend. Maybe you can't go to this concert or go here. You have to maintain the focus and in its proper place.
Yeah, and those, especially the students that are listening, those 4 years go by just like that. So you'll get to do all of that because you want to keep that money coming. So don't jeopardize that money. So, Ashley, you're dropping some gems here. People want to know, like, why Ashley? Why should they? Why did you get into it? And how do you know all of this stuff about scholarships? So tell a little bit about yourself and why you for accessing scholarship funds.
Sure. So, really, it came from my upbringing. I'm a military brat twice, I like to say. My father retired a few years ago from the Army, and my mother was a Marine. And so, you know, that discipline, the foundation, and of course, they obviously promoted college, but I love that they put the supports in place. Everything from going to college fairs as young as 13 years old, making college visits, I believe starting when I was 14. I was telling the story before, my dad took me on what I call informational interviews for career choices. So I went down to the TV station and, you know, sat with some meteorologists because I thought I wanted to do that at one point. So I appreciate that even now today, because that helped me to narrow down really what I wanted to do. And so I was, and Patrina, we talked about this a little while ago, is that I didn't know that I could make money doing this at first.
Yes.
So I was just helping people in the neighborhood. I have a younger brother. I was throwing him some hints, you know, and trying to help him. And I began to see these students and families getting results. And I said, wow, okay. In a year or two after that, I think my junior year at Kent State, somebody finally, I was at home on a visit, and somebody's like, you know, you can make money from this. Like, there are people that charge. I'm like, what?
Like, what? You mean this stuff? I'm just sharing it. Like, what? Why would somebody pay me for that? Yes.
Exactly. And you know, I said, okay, so that blog that I had talking about college life, I immediately registered as a business. And we're now almost at year 11 this year. So in July, it'll be 11 years.
Gosh, that is awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And you know, we talked about this too, but it's also I didn't know what a business coach was at the time. I didn't know any of those things, but I knew from working with students that I needed support as well on the
Mhm.
business side. And so I began to watch the gurus on, you know, Facebook and YouTube, trying to get caught up. And I said, okay, you know, I think I can make a go at this. And about 3 years in, I began to really listen to what my parents were saying. And they said, well, Ashley, we're good on the academic side. They said, but we need the money. Like, the money is the issue. And so I pivoted in year 3, and I said, well, I'm only going to help you guys. You know, I'm going to focus on what your issue is, your area of need, greatest need. And that was the scholarships, grants, and fellowships. And so it's interesting. I went to college to be a researcher, but I was able to transfer that skill, and I still use it today on helping families to find scholarships.
So, and you do it in two ways, right? You have like resources and tools available for them,
Yeah.
so they can do the DIY,
Mm-hmm.
or you could handhold them through it, right? So talk a little bit
Exactly.
about that.
Sure. So if you're a listener watching and you're like, I just need help to kind of focus in or zero in on that, or how to find these funds, then I kind of have a DIY version for you guys. And so it comes with a text guide, you know, and then I of course throw in some bonuses for you guys to get started. But if you're like, look, this is a bit overwhelming, it's a bit too much for me, we don't really have time, because it takes some time.
I like it's funny because when I do certain things and people is like, oh, well, you could just go and do it. I'm like, yeah, no, help, just tell me what I need to do, where I need to sign. Like, that's funny that you're saying
Yes,
that.
absolutely. So if you know you need that, and that's okay, then that's what I'm here for too. So we do provide a done for you. It's a monthly customized service inside of I've got a virtual school called Scholarship Success School, so you can go there if you would like to do that.
Yeah, and my purpose in making sure, I shared my little tidbit there, transparency, because sometimes people will try because of the economics of the difference between the guide and working, you doing it for them.
Mm-hmm.
But time is really important, and you could go and get the resource guide, but because that probably the information is out there anyway for you. But if you go and get the resource guide, and if you're really not going to go by what's in there, go ahead and make the investment up front to work with her to ensure that you're getting the dollars that's out there for, the greater chance of the dollars that are out there for you or whomever is going to school. So I think we have to, in this day and age, we have to understand that it's great to attend events, it's great to get resources, but if you're that person that's really not going to crack it open and do or virtually look at it online, then go ahead and make that investment. You'll probably save yourself in that because you save time in the purchase of the first resource. So I encourage you to take a look at that. So what do you find that students, like the trend and the thing that the students do that hinder them from being able to get funds? Like, what is I guess said differently, what should they stay away from? Like the myth of, I need this in order to get a scholarship. That's really not the case.
Right. I think the first issue is students, for some reason, assume that they don't really qualify for a lot of scholarships. And I mean, just yesterday, 2 days ago, I was talking with a medical school student, and she was just adamant. She was like, well, I don't really think there's any money for me. And I'm starting now to ask the question is, how do you know? Who told you
Mm,
that?
yes. There's so much out there.
I
Yeah,
told her it doesn't matter the level, whether your child is an elementary, middle, high school, undergrad, graduate degree, professional degree student, it doesn't matter. The funding is out there.
yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing is they don't think that it exists. Another thing is they think that they have to be in a certain income bracket. And
Mm,
that is not the case. I work with families that I would consider higher, like upper middle, higher income families. I work with low income families and everything in between. And I'm able to find funding for all of them. So income doesn't matter. Another one is they think that, oh, well, I've got to be in like 3,000 hobbies, like 3,000 groups, got to be dancing, painting, singing, cooking. And I'm like, no, this is all based on you. This is how you're able to stand out and have that it factor.
yeah,
Patrina, as you've mentioned, is simply by being you. I'm just going to simply help you to highlight and expand your own personal brand of what you already do.
that's right. That's right. And didn't you, I think you told me earlier that Google have awarded scholarships to 5-year-olds. Mark.
Absolutely. So, of course, we all utilize and are familiar with Google. Every year, they have a scholarship competition, I guess you could call it, and it starts for students as young as 5 years old. Now, of course, your 5-year-old is not writing an essay, right? Because they're not at that level, but they're more on the artsy side. So, if your child has maybe, if you've seen them, maybe they have an interest for coloring or arts or drawing or painting, why not? They could be selected, and I forget how many thousands of dollars, but it's of course mom and dad will
Whatever
hold on
it
to
is, right? It
the
gets
check.
passed away. Yeah, exactly right.
Plus a
Yes.
laptop and like all kind of cool like stuff. So when it comes out again, it's usually every January. So when it comes out next January, they usually start advertising a few months before. As you guys be on the lookout, it's called Google number four Doodle. Google for Doodle. Or
Google.
Doodle for Google. I'm sorry, Doodle for Google.
Google. I'm writing that down.
Yes.
Okay. And then I know you also said it's important to have a LinkedIn page for
Yes.
prospective college applicants.
And you know what? I didn't, well, this is the exclusive. You guys are going to get the exclusive. I'm actually working on a new training. It's going to be inside of Scholarship Success School. So you'll get this included with your registration. Because I have personally benefited from the power of LinkedIn. And I'll give you guys a few examples. I was able to create an internship through LinkedIn. I was able to reach out. I wanted to be a researcher at a hospital. And this is, of course, pre-COVID. But I was able to find the director, reached out, sent a proposal, and they were like, "Cool, we'd love to have you." And I was able to do that and fulfill one of my requirements for my master's degree.
Wow.
So LinkedIn is amazing. The professionals are there, your future employers are there, internship opportunities are there, and they're constantly sharing resources. I'm over there, constantly sharing resources. I mean, all day long. So, yes, if your child is at least 15, I need you to help them set up their LinkedIn. And here's the other cool part. Remember earlier I was talking about documenting and portfolio, is you can use your LinkedIn profile, and your students can do this too, to document. So now it's a public portfolio. And so sometimes what's happened is I've had organizations that provide scholarships reach out to me and say, "Hey, can you share this?" Or, "We have a new opportunity. We see that you work with scholarships. Can you share this?" I don't even know them, but they reached
I love
out.
because of what you put out there regarding your work. They're telling you to make this visible to the folks that are following you so they
Absolutely.
can give the money away, right?
Absolutely.
Yes,
That's it.
exactly. I love it. So before we get out of here, tell them again. I know your backdrop has it, but tell them the name
Yes.
of your school. Like, go ahead and say it again.
Sure. So it's Scholarship Success School. So basically, it's your customized scholarship list. You'll actually receive a physical box. Actually, my team, after this, we're gonna be putting together the boxes to send out little goodies, little candies, and different things in there to help you get ready. On social media, I try to be everywhere. So I'm on LinkedIn. You can just look up Ashley L. Hill. On Instagram, it's Prep FOUR College. On Twitter, it's Prep FOR College. On Facebook, it's Prep the number 4 college. And then if you would like to get a chance to ask some questions and get some more support, I have a free scholarship group. It's called The Scholarship Bank on Facebook. Just put in the search bar, The Scholarship Bank.
Awesome. So, Ashley, thank you so much for
Thank
being here.
you.
I've enjoyed, and I know those of you that will see this, you'll get to see how she glows when she talks about her work and how she's able to help students and it's people. I shouldn't say just well, I guess they are all students, no matter the age. And those of you that are listening, I encourage you to go check out the YouTube because you have to see this woman. She loves her work, and it comes through when she talks about what she does. And then I appreciate you. Again, I'm Patrina Dixon. I'm the It's My Money lady. Thank you for rocking with me. And if you need to level up your money, make sure you check out my course. You can go to my website. It's My Money journal.info. Again, that's it's my money journal.info. I'm across social platforms. My social handle is it's my money _ And then if you are not ready to make that investment, no problem. I have a workbook that's your DIY version of getting leveling up your money. So you can check out that workbook as well. And you can go to my website, go over to the shop, and you can grab that workbook. Thanks again, Ashley, for being here.
Thank you.